Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Mel and Wally Show. I'm Mel.
Bonjour, I'm Wally.
On this podcast, we talk about whatever the hell we want.
Because we can. Please enjoy, subscribe, like, and follow. Do all the things. Anyway, so tell us about gay people and things.
Tell us about gay people. Well, I am one.
What?
I know. Do you guys know anything about the gay rights movement in Canada?
I
know we all know about the States. Like, we all know about Stonewall. We all know
Marsha P. Johnson, what a queen. I know about her, but I don't know
what a queen. So she was a Black trans woman, and she also was a founding member of the Gay Liberation Front. Also, one of the
Stonewall.
So there is a belief that Sylvia Rivera, who was a Latinx a woman of color as well, and trans woman, was also there at Stonewall. She wasn't there. There's a lot of like conflicting reports saying she wasn't there, but who was there was Miss Major Griffin Gacy, another Black trans woman who also was the original executive director of the Transgender Variant Intersex Justice Project. They were both community leaders, and they participated in the Stonewall Uprising. So they weren't necessarily there the night of the actual Stonewall police going in and kind of like, not the actual riot, like the actual like arrest and the but they were there for the actual like days after for the protest. They rallied people together. They brought everyone in that, and that was in 1969. But in Canada, we have what's called like Operation Soap. Operation Soap was basically it was when 4 bathhouses were raided in Toronto, and people call it the equivalent of the Stonewall riots. It's actually, so Metropolitan Police on February 5th, 1981, arrested 289 men, which is the largest mass arrest in Canadian history until 2006 during the Stanley Cup playoffs in Edmonton. So the next day after that, 3,000 protesters staged a mass demonstration against the raids, blocking major intersections, and 4,000 protesters marched from Queen's Park to the 52 Division of the Toronto Police on February 20th. So the first gay freedom rally was held on March 6th, and it really was the first like actual Toronto Pride event. And guess who was a speaker there? Everyone should know her. Her name was Margaret Atwood. I can't stand her personally, but she spoke there in
you were going to say Stuart Jeffery.
Wow, I'm not that old, sir.
That wasn't meant to be a read. That was like, because I'm amazing.
Sir, happened in 1981. I'm not even a mere idea. Like, I came 5 years later, sir. But also, like, the police in Toronto also raided 2 other bathhouses in July of 1980. And protesters reported violence against them. So it's also really important to see the correlation and the comparison between the movements of the gay rights movement, the LGBTQ2+ movement in both Canada and the States, with the Black Lives Matter movement. The current movement for equal rights, safety, and protection of all Black people is a fight for all Black people. And that includes those who are trans, gay, lesbian, and gender nonconforming. Therefore, fighting for Black rights means fighting for gay rights and vice versa. Besides sharing a history of protest, struggle, and a long battle for equality, the two movements both focus on bringing about change through activism. Sorry, Alex is texting me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm talking." Through activism, and the earliest gay rights organization, like the Gay Liberation Front, also fought for the end of racism and equal treatment, which is something we don't remember. And I think it's really important to note as well that a lot of our pillars of the community and the activists in the community in the early start of the gay rights movement were queer people of color, and unfortunately, white cisgender like homosexual men have really profited off of that and really not taken on that torch of making sure the community is as equal as we hope to be. And we've really benefited from that. So it's something really we have to all like accept our privilege and understand that whereas we can be an advocate and ally for this movement when it comes to Black Lives Matter, it's not about us. The conversation is not about us. We can use our voice, our privileged voice, to speak alongside oppressed voices, but it's not our fight. We can hold it like it is, and that's something that an ally has to do. An ally has to be able to take this thing that someone can't take off and hold it for the rest of their life, understanding that the privilege allows them to one day put it down. So it's like when people are like, oh, I'm getting really bored of like seeing everyone posting about Black Lives Matter or Breonna Taylor or any of these other, or George Floyd. That's a privilege for you to be like, turn it off, step away, put it aside. And for you to say that shows your privilege. And it's something that you have to be able to be like, I understand that I can turn it off and I can be willfully naive to these things, but it's something that has to really, really, to be an ally and to be an advocate for the community and to fight alongside them, you have to be willing to hold that struggle and that fight as your own, and make sure you're not speaking for them, but speaking alongside them. I think the most important thing about being an ally too is educating yourself. And I think people forget to do that. They think that if they have a gay friend or a Black friend or a friend of color, they're like, I'm done. They can just ask them. And it is not, and I say this all the time, and I'm not a very nice person when it gets to it. I will do seminars and I will teach people about advocacy and allyship in the gay rights movement and the LGBTQ movement, and also a lot of the different issues that we face in that time. And I will leave myself open to questions after, but it is not my responsibility to educate you on the issues that impact the community. If you're not willing to put the work in, I'm not willing to have a conversation with you. You can do the work and then ask me about something, but also just because I'm gay does not mean that I know everything.
Yeah.
I have to learn trans rights. I am not a trans person. I do not speak for them. I fight alongside them, but I have to educate myself every single day on the different things they're fighting for, the rights they're fighting for. And I had to confront my own privilege when it came to the Black Lives Matter movement, because I am very, very comfortable speaking about the rights of gays and lesbians and the entire queer community. I will speak ad nauseum about it. People are like, can you stop? I'm like, no, there's still more injustice in the world. But I've noticed an issue that I have where I don't feel as comfortable speaking about race and inequality there. So I'm really forcing myself to educate myself, learn what I should be saying, become anti-racist, but also to be able to speak on these issues, and as uncomfortable as it can be sometimes. Like, do I want to speak on these issues all the time? Do I want to confront people who are being racist in the street? I'm not a confrontational person to begin with, so it's hard for me to speak off the cuff like that. But I understand that if I allow it to go by, I'm no better. If I allow someone to make a passing racist comment and I'm like, well, it's not my place, I've not joined in the problem, but I am part of the problem now. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, it's fine. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I actually have 6 tips for your listeners on how to be an ally. So, number 1, do you guys want to hear my tips, or am I just talking aloud?
I 100% want to hear your tips.
So, my first tip is allies treat the struggle as their own. We just talked about that. So allies understand that they may not know what it feels like to be oppressed, but take on the struggle as their own. So you don't have to know what it feels like to be a Black person in this world, or a gay person in this world, or transgendered, or a woman. But you have to know that someone else can talk to you about it. Someone else can educate you, and you want to make sure everyone is equal. They understand that people from underinvested communities carry a weight every day they can't put down. Allies understand that is a weight the allies choose to carry and never put down. So it's recognizing your privilege. It's recognizing the advantages and how the institutions are created to benefit you, and understanding that, but also being able to speak to it, to want to open those doors for those underinvested communities. Mm-hmm. But also be very careful, because you don't want to be a white savior where you run in there or a straight savior, or you run in there and you're like, guys, I'm here and I'm going to fix it all for you. You don't want to be that person in the room where they're having a debate about racism in the United States or racism in Canada, or speaking for Indigenous communities. And you're like, guys, I've educated myself. I listened and read white what am I looking for? Right, fragility. And I am now an expert on race. Let me tell you about it, because you're an asshole then. Like, please sit down and stop talking. I once was in a room with somebody who I was giving a seminar, and it was a question and answer period. And one of my straight friends who came just to view stood up and started telling a room of like people who are gay, people who are lesbian, people who are straight allies, people who came to learn more about the gay rights movement and what he has done to fix it. And I was like, can you sit down? You're sucking all the air out of the room, and I am suffocating up here. Like, have you guys experienced that though? Like, when you have been if you've been in a room with somebody and they're telling you about something that you've experienced in your life,
Yes.
you're like, it's that moment in time where your head tilts and you're like, do I stop them? And you like look around the table being like, is anyone else gonna? No? Okay, we're all just gonna listen. This is fun. Yeah, it's like you don't want to be that person. Tip number 2, allies stand up even when scared. It's scary, guys. It's going to be scary. And to anybody listening right now, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Allies understand that it's hard work. It is. There might be a fear of making mistakes that could label one as an ist or an ick, so racist or homophobic or transphobic. But mistakes are expected. Like, we don't expect, no one from any underinvested community expects someone who has been experiencing things to walk onto the scene and be like, I want to help out and know everything about everything, know all of the right words to say, know all of the right, to have to put all of their preconceived notions and preconceived beliefs aside immediately and be like, I'm ready, I'm a blank slate. It's not going to happen. You're going to make mistakes, but it's what you have to own them. You have to be able to speak up and be like, hey guys, like I'm trying, and if I make a mistake, tell me about it. But it's also something like, if there is someone who is something racist or homophobic and you're not really sure of what to say something. Like, just say something. You may not be as eloquent as you want to be. You may not have the right words you want to say. You may not look like a TV show where you're snappy and quippy and like flip your hair back and walk away and that person's like in their place, but you said something. That's the only thing that matters. But the worst thing you can possibly do is say nothing. If you say nothing, you're no better. And you're not an ally, because an ally understands that you have to speak in places that we're not.
Yep.
Sorry, I just like my voice cracking. It's puberty happening again. I told you I was young, Wally. Number 3, and off of what we were saying about mistakes, allies are willing to own their mistakes. So an ally works to embrace the daily work of doing better. Own their mistakes and is proactively seeking education. Self-awareness is critical. Guys, be self-aware. If you make a mistake, don't be like, I didn't say that. What? Like, be like, if someone calls you out on something, if someone says that was really racist, or like, hey, like that really made me uncomfortable, that was misogynistic or homophobic, believe them. Like, don't stand there and be like, I'm not a racist. It's not about you. If I'm telling you, I'm not saying you're racist or homophobic. I'm telling you the thing you said can be perceived as, I feel like what you said was homophobic. I'm sure you guys have been in that situation before, whether it be sexism or racism or homophobia, where you're like, I'm telling you something, right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any examples?
With me, it's more because I hang out with mostly men. So in my experience, it is mostly people speaking over me or not listening to points that I have. And I don't readily give my opinion on basically anything unless I am in a room that is like full of people that I'm extremely comfortable with. I will be like the quiet one. So if I'm saying anything, I am like very sure of what I'm saying. But it is always, well, not always, but I have very regularly experienced people not listening to those points, and like then the guy beside me will say something in the exact same way and everybody is like, oh yeah, like yes, that, and then they all start talking about it and I'm like, okay, so I'm just gonna sit over here and just like watch all of you big men talk. Okay.
Well,
That's more my experience with it.
but that's a valid experience, and it's something that you deal with every single time. So when you turn to that man next to you and you're like, hey, when you do that, it makes me feel like my points aren't valid, and it's kind of misogynistic for you to repeat my point in your loud man voice to give it legitimacy. And if he's like, I'm not a misogynist, you're like, hi, I didn't say you were one. I said this thing you did was.
Mhm.
And what he should be saying is, I'm really sorry. Let me work on that. What are things I can do to be better at that?
Yeah.
What about you, Wally? I'm sure that you experience it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, I literally just had an example and now I'm blinking because I'm stupid. But to Mel's point too, if you listen to any of the past episodes, I talk over her a lot, but it's not because I just get excited over things and I want to say them in the moment and I forget otherwise. So I'm sorry if I've ever made you feel that way.
I wasn't talking about you.
Yes, you were. You looked right at me the whole time. You guys can't see her. She was glaring at my. No. What was I gonna say? I think my big thing is when, like, if I'm telling someone that a word or something is not okay to say, and they tell me that they've grown up with it, so they can say it. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. Just because you've grown up with all your white friends and you've said the N-word doesn't mean that it's okay for you to say the N-word. Like they're like, well, you're not black. I'm like, that's not the point. Or when like a lot of people will meet me and be like, oh, like a lot of straight guys that will meet me, they're like, oh, Wally, I'm so comfortable around you. I usually don't like gay guys, but you know, you're different. I'm like, what? And I literally usually put them in place.
Exactly who has said that to you.
And I will try to be like, well, I mean, just so you know, to not say that to other people because I necessarily didn't get offended by it, but there are a lot of people that could get offended by it. But also,
I would be so offended by it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what does that mean? Like, just because someone's gay, you think you're uncomfortable around them because you think they want you? It's like, first of all, you're ugly. Sit the fuck down. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how being gay works. And it's like, just because you're straight doesn't mean you're attracted to every single man or woman out there. Like, that's, you know, just, yeah. So that kind of thing really bothers me. And like I said, most of the things, like, I'm very easygoing. Like, it doesn't really offend me. It just, like, kind of makes me cringe or irks me. And I'm like, ooh, like, you might think that you're safe around me to say this, but if you repeat this around someone else who will put you in your place more than I am, or will use their words way better than I will, you need to just either be careful or like, not be careful, but change your thinking, because you are being like homophobic or racist or whatever the situation is. And yeah, I can't handle that. That really grinds my grills, as the white people say.
I think also too, I think you said something there that's really interesting, where you said that I'm not someone who gets offended by it, and I was someone who was exactly the same as you. And how old? You're 25, 24?
26.
Oh, 26.
I know, I'm so old.
When I was in my early 20s, I also would say things like, it doesn't offend me, like, don't worry about it. I'm like a cool, like I don't even care about these things. And it would really bother me. But I would say these things to people because I didn't want them to dislike me. I didn't want to give them one more reason to, because like being gay, I was like, at high school was bullied. There was a very real chance that people will not like me because of it. Right. And have not liked me because of it. So I was like, I'm going to prove I'm this great, funny person. And I'm going to say I'm so laid back and like I don't care about any of these things. And I'm going to say this because I don't want to give someone else a reason to dislike me. But the problem was, and what I did in this instant was I made that behavior okay.
Right.
Because I would say, it doesn't bother me. Don't even worry about it. So they would be like, I'm comfortable saying it to Stuart, who is a gay man, so I can say it again to somebody else. And even though I'd be like, don't say it to anybody else because they have a problem because they're not as laid back as I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's me creating a problem while trying to solve my own problem of like wanting to be liked.
Right.
And there was something that came up in one of my last talks where someone was like, I went to get a job, and when my first day, I made a decision to be like, I'm not going to be out at work. I'm not going to be like myself. I'm going to be really kind of closed off. I'm going to do my work so well. And then once I prove myself, once they realize I'm a good employee and they can't fire me and they can't dislike me, I'm going to be a little more comfortable. And then I can start like showing that I'm gay, because then they can't hate me because they already like me.
Right.
And they can't fire me because they already know I'm a good employee. And it's something that I didn't realize that I do too, where when I first got my job that I have now, I went in there and I was like, I'm not going to be out. I'm going to be really quiet. I'm a really laid back person and reserved person to begin with. Like, I'm really talkative now because I know Melissa and I know you. Mm-hmm. But like on a regular everyday, I'm a pretty shy individual who will only speak. I'm a very selective speaker. I will speak a lot when I'm with people I'm comfortable with, but like on a general tone, I'm not going to speak at all. And Melissa used to say that all the time because her friends would come over and I would like look them up and down an elevator stair and be like, no. And then just like walk upstairs or like go into another room. But it was me making the conscious decision to make sure I proved myself. And it wasn't prove myself as a worker, it was prove myself as a human being. So when they asked me a question about who I was dating or my life, I could be like, I'm gay. And they'd be like, oh, cool. We're so happy to have you here because they now know I'm a good person. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I have to fight against all the time, because it's a natural inclination for me to be like, in this situation, is it safe for me to be gay? So I would suggest, like, if it's a friend of yours or you feel comfortable, you're in a group of friends and someone says something like to you, don't say it's fine. Mm-hmm. Be like, listen, let me educate you on something. One, what you just said, not okay. It's not okay to say to me. It's not okay to say to anybody, because I don't want you to put yourself in a place that you put yourself below somebody else, where you're like, it's fine, don't worry about me, I'm so laid back. Because it's all you're doing is you're allowing them to be like, I'm going to say this horrible thing to you, and you're going to be like, thank you, I'm going to put that right here in my pocket, and like, aren't I fun? Like, it's just not okay. I would literally rip that person like a strip of skin off their face and be like, okay, and now you can leave, sir, you homophobe. Ugh.
No, and I mean, I don't think I even realized that I like do it because of that. No. Probably until like right now, maybe. But usually, I mean, maybe this is me making an excuse for myself even, but I would just like choose my wording carefully to not ever say that it's okay to say, but I was like, I'm not offended by it. I was like, it's not okay to say, so don't say it. But I was like, if you're going to say it in front of anyone, it's probably me, because other people will probably repeat to shreds. But no, I definitely agree. I should probably not do that. And just to be like, because I am a people pleaser.
Yeah,
I know
so am I. Horrible.
And
it's a burden.
I'm a Pisces and I'm a gay and I'm ethnic, so there's many things that I have to make people. And I'm a middle child, which makes everything tense.
Yeah, you're a mediator. It's something that we all have to fight again. Yeah. It's also like, it's funny because like when I got my like job before the one I have right now, I was with a long-term boyfriend, and the first day I went to the interview, and he said to me before I left, he was like, I love you, good luck. I would really suggest you tone down the gay. They're not going to hire you if they don't like gays. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, I know. And it's like, and I literally, like, in that moment, that is my boyfriend who I love. Right. And he like loves me back. We're living together. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know. And I went there and I sat there and I played it down. I sat on my hands. I didn't use any like special language, because I've also been all my life, when I use big words, I speak well, and people are like, you have a gay accent. And I'm like, no, it's called a vocabulary, but it's fine. Like, so I will literally dumb down what I'm saying to be liked or like not it's a weird thing you do to yourself.
Oh, for
and
sure.
it's when you're introducing people, you use like gender neutral pronouns, where you're like, oh yeah, my partner, or they're so great, or I'm going to hang out with my partner tonight, we are going to go to a restaurant, they are going to come from work. Right. And you don't realize you do it, but you start making these edits to your life, and before you know it, it's 6 months later, and you're like, and everyone's like, well, when are we going to meet this person? And you're like, yeah, like I will bring them. And then they show up, and you have that really awkward revealing session where you're like, this is my person.
Right.
And everyone's like, oh man, I love gay people. And you're like, this is weird.
Yeah. I've had like a similar, like last year.
It actually happened. Yeah. It was horrible.
Oh, I love gay people.
That's what it happened on a boat cruise. I was stuck for 2 hours on a boat.
me as like the eldest on in like our side of the family.
They're gonna say in the world.
Yeah, in the world. This is my world, and I am the only thing that matters along with. No, he's not.
Oh wait, he's not. You're right.
I'm the oldest person in my world.
Did you call me the oldest?
No,
you
not
old
you.
jerk?
Emma's behind the computer.
Oh my God. Hey, Emerson. Thanks for saying hi.
He's editing the radio show.
Oh, okay. Whatever.
But yeah, I just want to go back to these moments that I was not there, where people were like treating you this way. Like I would go and I would like rip your boyfriend's face off. And then,
right, but like that's
that are there, I'll go and stab. Like I will cut a bitch.
Yeah,
for saying stuff like that.
The one thing though, Melissa said
there all the time.
But I will say that Melissa's actually in high school. I had a really hard time in high school, and we only overlapped 1 year. She was in OAC and I was in grade 9, and people made like it was horrible. I was really bullied in high school, but that year, her friends were around. So I think there were rumors going around that I was gay, and Melissa said, and I always remember this. She said it in front of me, but I don't think she knew that I heard her. It was a little bit farther back, but it was somebody who I will not name, who I don't like. But I think you're friends with still. But we'll talk after this.
I want to know.
And, yeah, and they said like, "Oh, your cousin, the gay one," and Melissa said out loud, "You do not get to say what he is until he says it himself first."
Aww.
And then she just like moved on, and me like 14 years old and like dead inside, being like, "Oh my God, they know! Like, what am I gonna do?" And like with my sheet, like my curtain hair, and just like a whole bunch of acne in my face. It was horrible. I decided that year to like cut my hair into spikes, with a really jelly bang. It was horrible. It was so bad. I looked like a rejected member of NSYNC. It was terrible. It was so bad. And I don't know why no. And then I was the first day of school, I was like 12 pounds and I wore an extra large Parks and Rec sweater that was ripped on the collar. Like it was a nightmare. I also walked off the bottom half of my jeans. Like it was bad. Like I had a waist like this. I should have been naked the entire time. I would love that body nowadays. But back then I was like, I'm so fat. Like I was a walking trash fire, but my lovely cousin defended me. That was the point of the story, not my sad fashion choices of yesteryear.
Always been like chubby, so I've like never worn baggier clothing because I feel like it makes me look even bigger.
That's smart though. That's a very smart thing you did.
Sometimes.
Because
all I wear is like baggy stuff right now.
Like I am
anything touching me.
No, I love it when I can feel my clothes on me because I'm like, I'm skinny.
I would wear a belted. If it wasn't so hot out, I wear a belted duvet. I am like I can't like these shorts right now. I'm pretty sure have like cut off circulation to my legs, but like whatevs. They look great.
If pants don't make you not look good, then what's the point of them?
Exactly. So back to like the third point, allies are willing to make all mistakes. So I think that like self-awareness is critical. There's the compliance and the oppression you intend to fight against if you cannot accept your own actions. If you can't accept that you were wrong, if you can't say that you were wrong, if you can't accept the fact that you have to change your thoughts and actions, and then you have to change and understand that your thoughts and actions are inherently influenced by the systematic oppression that you're fighting against. You have to understand that. If you don't understand that, like you have to take a step back and reflect into why you don't know that. And it's really hard. And I'm not saying that it's not something that it's gonna be a lifelong struggle. Things are changing, and there will be parts of being an ally where you're uncomfortable, you don't understand, where you're like, I don't really know if I agree with this. Let me read more about it. Let me stop listening to all the noise. Let me gather as much information as possible. Let me have conversations with people who are not just like-minded. Because if you're having conversations with your people who are like-minded as you, you're going to be like, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. It's people who are different-minded, who have different opinions, who maybe disagree. Because the moment that you find yourself somewhere in the point where you're like, they're not right, I don't know if they're right, and I don't know if they're right, but I'm somewhere in the middle and I'm leaning more over here, at least then you can understand where those division points are, where those breaks in your comfortability are. Because if you're constantly talking to people who are the same as you, you're going to be like, I'm fine, everything's great. And then you're going to go to a protest. You're going to like talk to somebody who is like an activist. You're going to be like, oh, wow, I don't agree with anything you're saying. You're crazy. And then they're going to be like, I thought you were an ally. And you're going to be like, I am an ally in this section right here. I didn't realize there was an entire other part of the library. So it's really important. I think people oftentimes when they say they're allies, especially nowadays, I don't know if you guys know what a performative ally is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need any more of those.
I went to a peaceful protest in Barrie, which is where I live, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry.
There was I literally saw a group of girls stand there with their like Black Lives Matter protest or whatever they had on there, take photos and then leave.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I literally was like, you hear about that kind of stuff, but until you see it, you're like, that can't be real. And then it's like, oh, cool, okay, that's great.
Yeah, it's a trend. It's like I swear to God, and this is the one thing that I always will say because I do most of my seminars in June. Your allyship does not start on June 1st and end on June 30th. That's not how it works. You cannot come to the party, Becky, if you're not willing to do the work 12 months out of the year.
Yes.
There are 11 other months for you to figure it out. And it is not up to me to teach you within 30 days. You can let your freak flag fly at the Pride Parade. No, you can come as a guest. You don't get to come as an ally and be like, I love the gays. No, you don't. You also, and this is the other thing I see a lot from people who are like, I'm allies of the gay rights movement when they post controversial stuff from like far right level media or right wing media of being like conversion therapy is a good idea for like, or like transgender kids should not be given puberty blockers because it's abuse. I'm like, you don't get to say these things and call yourself an ally. You have to either support everybody or nobody. And you can come to the Pride Parade, douse your body in glitter, drink your face off, be at the parade, fine. But don't go around with your little rainbow button on the whole year being like, I love the gays, there's so much fun. I have a gay best friend, his name is insert name here. Like, that's not how it works. If I can't take the gay off and put it in a drawer or up in a cupboard and then only use it when it's fun, you don't get to take the rainbow button off either. It's there with you all the time.
I've worked places where like it'll be celebrated in the month of Pride, to like have the rainbow flag and to be like, oh look, we have 2 gay people that work here. But then throughout the whole year, it's like it's not even talked about. Or I've literally like one time at one of my jobs, I'm not gonna say which one because I don't want to get in trouble. But we had
we're not trying to get sued here.
Yeah, we had the pride flag up, and apparently some lady walked in, and I wasn't there because this person would have gotten everything handed to them. But the pride flag was up at the front, and she walked in apparently, asked my boss something, and she was ordering something, and was like, oh, that flag. And she's like, yeah, it's like the pride flag because it's Pride Month or whatever. And she was like, I just don't agree with it or whatever. And the owner of the place that I worked at basically just was like, just ignored the comment and was like, okay, so what would you like to order? And I was like, you have people that work here that are part of the LGBTQ community and you didn't stand up for us at all pretty much in that moment. And I said to her, I was like, what you did was not okay. And I was like, you're lucky that I wasn't here because you would have lost that customer. And you should lose that customer. Because if you're going to preach that you're like a place that it's very accepting of all these things, then you're not, because that's not okay to just let someone say something like that. And you have a Pride award on your wall to show people, but you're not going to like say something to like stand up for any of us, then that's not real allyship.
No.
And literally I said to the owner once, I was like, oh, last Pride, I wanted to go to work in drag because I thought it would be fun. And I was like, it's Pride, I should be able to do that. And it was like, also, if I want to come in drag every day, you can't legally tell me not to, technically. She literally was like, I don't know if people are going to be comfortable. I'm like, first of all, it's pride. Second of all, it's not my job to like make people comfortable about who I am as a person. They should like just not be uncomfortable around me. Like, and so she ended up not even being there during Pride, so I just went in drag anyway. And like when I posted the photo of it, she still shared it on the story because she knew that it would get her likes or whatever. And literally no customers had a problem with it. Like everyone was like, "You look so pretty," and like some customers like, "Wally, is that you?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's me." I was like, "I'm Jacqueline today," but there was one customer that or it was like a couple, I assume, a straight couple, I assume, and they were sitting, and they were sitting in my section. So whenever I went up to them, they were so quiet, like the whole time I was talking to them, like they like would say like 2 words about like what they wanted or whatever, and I was just like being my normal self. And then when someone else went to go drop off something to their table, they were so talkative, and I was just like, what? I was like, this makes no sense to me. I'm like, literally, what? The fact that I'm wearing this, how does that affect your life in any way? You're literally in a restaurant for me to bring you food. Like, why does it affect you in any way that I'm dressed in this way? I'm like, if anything, you should be worried about me because I'm uncomfortable as heck wearing a corset and a wig and all these things. Like, I'm hot as hell, but I'm doing it because I want to celebrate who I am in this month, and I should be able to do that. I can't handle all that.
I always say to people too, I think we all see it during Pride Month. Everything suddenly has a rainbow on it. The pop that you drink has a rainbow can. Suddenly all the alcohol bottles of certain liquors or spirits have a little rainbow on them. Yeah. And I always ask people, like, great, I'm happy, buy it because you like it. Everyone loves these things. They're like, oh my God, gay people, we support them. Where's the money going every other part of the year? Where's the corporation donating to? Who are their donors? Who are they donating to? What causes? I think we all know of a certain fast food chain who spends millions and millions of dollars to organizations and who are actively looking to remove, who are anti-gay, and are looking to remove rights away from the LGBTQ2+ community. And I think it's something that we all have to be better at. And I think this is something that the Black Lives Matter movement has really brought to the forefront, is that it's one thing to be a performative corporational ally where you can be like, listen, we support you. And people are like, great, show us your board of directors. Where do you spend your money? What steps have you taken to be anti-racist? And what diversity do you have in your organization? And what do you actively do to make sure that you don't have one type of person that you hire? And I think it's something that is hard for people because, and this is something it's human. People don't think about things unless it affects them. So it's like you have to actively to put this onto the table. All right, number 4. We're have to get through these. Number 4. Allies acknowledge the conversation is not about them. I was talking about this before. Anyone can be an ally. Anyone. But there's a caveat to that. Allies recognize they are not a member of the underinvested and oppressed communities they support, but they try to do better to understand the struggle every single day. An ally recognizes their privilege. They are a powerful voice along the oppressed ones. They are not the subject of the conversation. And this is something that we see a lot. And it's something that I really, really check yourself. If you realize that you're the only one talking at the table, there's probably someone's voice you're not listening to. And that's something that I think people have a really hard time, especially white people who are like, I think that we've all kind of experienced this, and we talked about it earlier, so I'm not going to stay on this a long time, but it's something that you have to, in yourself, realize that, like, and I said it to my mother the other day. She was asking me about a topic, and I was like, I'm not transgender. I don't know the experiences of someone who is transgendered, or the pain, or the how they feel, but I can tell you about some of the topics, but it's up to you. And what I said to her, and she was so accepting of what I said, I was really harsh and I felt really bad after it, but I was like, it is no longer just okay for you to think because you have a gay son that you're done learning. That's like you have to continue learning because you support the gay community and you support me as your gay son means you have to support the entire acronym, every single one of them. And I'm not saying you need to be an expert on everything you talk about and everything you say, but you have to be able, and this is to my father as well, but like through my mother, I was like both of you. And I say it to everybody. I don't just say it to my parent. I say it to every single person, my friends included, and they know that. I have a friend, Ashton, who literally, I was answering questions in a dinner once, and she was like, "Why are you asking him? It is not his job to educate you. Figure it the fuck out. We're having a drink. Go away."
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Why?" But you get stuck. And I think, I'm sure, Melissa, you do, and so is you, Wally, is that sometimes you end up in these conversations where you're suddenly like doing an education lesson, and you're like, "How did I get here? I wanted to come to the party and be blackout drunk and talk about like all the guys I like." And suddenly I'm giving like a TED talk at the front of the fucking room. And you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ.
That pretty much happens
Right.
to every party I go to, which is not a lot, but you know, every single one I still go to.
Yeah.
I have to do that. And whether it's about people using the N-word or saying homophobic comments, it always happens.
Yeah, and then people feel comfortable when they're friends with you. They feel comfortable coming to you and being like, "So, is this thing about gay people true?" Or like, "So, do women really do this?" Like the fact that there is a trend right now on TikTok where it's like girls asking their boyfriends or husbands how pads work, and the husbands are like, "Oh, you tape it to your thighs and you pee through a hole through it in it," is insane to me. Like how and the fact that like they're able to get away with this is the smallest. It's the smallest thing, but it's like women's like sanitary supplies are already overpriced. They should be something that is free and given by the government. And the fact that people who are married to these women have no idea how they work, and they're like in their 30s or late 20s, I would say it's not okay for anybody over the age of 12 not to know what a tampon does or a pad does. But the fact that it's a funny trend right now that we can all watch where men are like, "I don't know, you tape it to your vagina lip? Is it on your inner thighs? Like, where's it go?" And she's like, and literally the girl, the last word I saw was like, "Are you being serious right now? You think I literally tape it to my skin and I pee through it?" And he's like, "I don't know, babe. Like, what do you do?" And she's like, "It attaches to my underwear." And he was like, "Oh, that's smart." And then like goes about his day. I was like, huh? It's not even something that we have to, it's not a big issue, but it's a small little thing where it's like you educate yourself on these issues, because when people are talking about the cost of being a woman, they're incorporating these things. It's like the fact that we overtax things for women, overprice things, the fact that women still have full autonomy over their own bodies is insane.
Yeah.
I'm not a real woman, but when I buy like outfits for drag, everything is so expensive. So I can't even imagine having to deal with everything that comes with actually being a woman.
Well, like even if you think about like birth control, it's so expensive.
And all straight men take it for granted. They don't have to deal with
birth control. What is covered? Viagra.
Yeah.
Which is
exactly what is covered. So
that's crazy.
Women have to.
I didn't know Viagra was covered. That's crazy.
Women have to pay for birth control, and then do not have the people are trying to take away their right over like what they can do with their own bodies.
Mm.
And a man who has ED
can get hard.
Gets like that written off.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I genuinely did not know that until right now.
Yep.
Wow.
It's insane.
So is hair loss supplements as well.
Yeah.
They're considered in your it's covered by your general insurance at work, your workplace's insurance, or if you have a private insurance of any kind.
At the front of my head.
It's like it's crazy. Anyway, it's something that you guys have to look into if you the viewers haven't. Like, you should see how we tax. Like, it's most friends I have that are female buy Old Spice deodorant because it's cheaper. Because it's purple or pink, it costs $2 more.
Yeah.
Because the shampoo has, for extra long glossy hair, same ingredients as the bottle next to it, it's blue, but we pay $2 or $3 less.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. The fact that there's actually quite an interesting study that
everything.
Yeah. Well,
Everything.
Now we ended up getting this product because I just wanted the color, but diaper genies. They have your regular white diaper genie, and then there is a pink diaper genie that went with the color scheme of Daisy's bedroom, and I wanted it, and it was like a few bucks more than like any of the other colors that you could buy of a diaper genie.
Like, look at trucks for little boys and Barbies. Like, Barbies are $20 a Barbie, and a truck for little boys like $10.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, number 5, allies understand their education is up to themselves. So that is I will hinge. I think this is the most important point of all. Allies understand they must do their own research to learn about the history of the struggle in which you are participating in. It's an understanding. It's not the underinvested or oppressed community's job to educate them on the issues, struggles, or history. Do it yourself. If you're going to come to me and be like, I read something or I was reading about this, I have some questions, can you just like give me some clarity or like can we talk it out? I'm here. I will speak to you, get a bottle of wine, I'm here for hours. I will talk it through with you. I'm an expert on the situation. Or I'll be like, listen, I don't really know a lot about that, but here's some other here are some places or some resources that you can look into that you can get that information, that real person conversation. We have a lot of community. 519 is a great place for people to drop in and have, well, not now because we're in the middle of a pandemic, which is still happening. People wear a fucking mask. But it's something where you can go and you can get educated. There are online resources, there are chat rooms, there are help phone lines. All of these things are available to you to educate yourself. And it's no longer, especially with the rise of social media, the internet, all of these different resources for you to be like, I don't know how to find it. No, that's not okay. Like maybe in 1912, when it was like, you're like literally like on a little, like Morse coding it out. Like, yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
You would know.
Yeah. But yeah,
people have everything, so they can't use that as an excuse. And it's also like, I have one of my really close friends, Maddie, she is Black, and like ever since this whole revolution or whatever has been happening, there's been people, like I've seen some of her posts, she's like, guys, my DM is not for you to ask me questions about the Black Lives Matter movement or ask me about my struggle as a Black person. Like, you can research all that yourself. It's the same thing with like being in the LGBTQ community. Like, people assume that I know everything about the LGBTQ community. Like, no, I'm not a lesbian. I'm not trans. I'm not two-spirited. You know, like, I don't know what it's like to have all that. Like, yes, I know people like that, or I've done some research on it, but you are also able to do that.
Right, exactly. And it's something that I think it's when people want to join a cause, they want to start with someone they know and they want to ask all the questions. And my friend Ashton had a really eloquent, she put on her Instagram story. It was 6 slides long and she wrote it all out. It was a beautiful little like short essay on the reasons why you don't ask her about being Black. And the struggles she faced. She's like, it's a regular Tuesday. I have work to do. I am figuring my own shit out. Figure it out yourself. And I loved it. I read it. I was like, this is amazing. Yeah, just it's not up to people to figure it out for you. And the last thing, I think apart from the education, this is something that I want people to understand, because I think when people hear the word allyship or ally, they have this perceived notion that it means protesting or being this really like your entire life now is dedicated to you're joining like you're part of PFLAG, you're like volunteering at the kids help phone line, you're protesting all these things, but it's not. Allies know support comes in many forms. So this can be something as public as walking in a pride parade or holding a sign at a protest. Allyship can also be expressing support in more personal ways through language we choose. So being very selective in the language that we use, conversations we engage in. So it's like if family is misgendering somebody, or they're using racist language, or they're using homophobic language, or they're espousing like actual like falsehoods about a movement, correct them. It's going to be awkward, but you choose the way you do it. You just do it. And signals we send. True allies understand all types of allyship are important, effective, and should be valued equally. There is no metric. There's absolutely no metric to being, or metric or measurement of being an ally. And that's has to be really, really important to you guys understand, like everyone to understand. No one is measuring you on this. To be an ally just means to show up, to fight in places that we're not, and to use your voice to make sure that we are equal at the end of the day. All the rest of your life. You're going to pick it up, you're going to hold it there, and it's going to be like a button across your chest for every cause you support. You can't put it down, and you can't say nothing. And that's it. That's my 6 tips. 6, guys.
Yay!
My entire leg is asleep. It's just called my jeans are too thin. Not too thin. I'm not thin enough for these jeans.
All of my pants are like that, but I'm just
like literally,
my butt has to
I can't deal with it. Melissa, do you remember when my 2 legs went numb and I stood up and I just fell backwards?
Yeah.
Like that happened at Grandma's house. This is just happening right now. I can't get back up.
That happens to me on the daily. Earlier, I was playing with Dash and Daisy and I couldn't get up properly. I had to use the couch.
It's really hard getting old.
You called me old.
Yeah, I'm older than all of you combined on the inside. I had knee surgery at like 22.
I've had no lie. I was gonna say I had no surgery, but then I'm like my arm is like effed beyond belief.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh wait.
Like you can barely tell now. It's actually pretty amazing how
it is.
Like
what do you mind if I ask what happened?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I was like 3 years old. I smashed through the front door of my grandmother's place. So my uncle was coming in, he put his foot right to the door, and I didn't see him, and I was like running out, and I smashed through it. So I sliced. That's why I wear bracelets all the time on this one arm. People always ask why I wear them.
Pulled him back through.
Yeah, so I have a scar, which you can see on my wrist.
Yeah. I thought it was just because you were gay, so you wore bracelets.
Yeah, and then I have 2 huge scars that go up my arm.
Mm-hmm.
I tore out yeah.
It ran all the way.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but you can't see it. But it's like, I mean, they did a pretty good job sewing me up. It is, but it's something that I don't even notice. People, if I like raise my arm in a t-shirt and I'll like scratch my head, people are like, "Oh my god, what happened to your arm?" I'm like, "What? What? Am I bleeding?" And people are like, "No, the scar." I'm like, "What? Oh yeah, I've had it forever." Or like when I was in high school, and the reason I started wearing bracelets was people would think it was a suicide. I was attempted suicide. So I started wearing bracelets not to have that conversation. I was like, I don't want to continue having a conversation where I'm like, I didn't try and kill myself. It's also not a question you ask people, like between classes, like, Susan, please stop. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, but I will send you the 6 tips to share as you will, if you want them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
So much work. But yeah, like that's pretty much it. And also, guys, I want you to know that like if any of the people listening right now are not super sure on what to do or where to start, I can give Melissa and Wally a couple of links for you to try to start in. It also, typing in gay rights into Google, a lot of stuff will pop up.
Just type in gay and a lot of stuff will pop up.
Don't type in gay in Google.
Yeah, don't type in
Some of it might not be what you want to see, but
I mean, it's a lot. A lot will happen.
Some of it's not even something I want to see.
When I came out to my mother and father, like my mother made the mistake of typing gay into Google.
No.
Yeah, that was yeah. She never really talked about it. She more just like landed on like, I saw a lot, and we never discussed it again. But I'm pretty sure that's there in her head forever.
If you also type in gay space P, a lot of fun stuff will pop up for you as well. Google will finish a sentence for you. Don't worry.
A lot happens there.
Anything else you want to share about being gay?
Anything else I want to share about being gay? I would actually, before we sign off for the night or let you guys go, I would like to mention the 2 S in so our entire acronym in Canada is,
Yes.
and this, guys, our entire acronym, I'm going to go through this with you, everybody, okay? It's going to be long. Everyone always complains about it, but I always say, like, we're as inclusive as we possibly can be. We want to make sure there's a space for everybody. So we all know it as LGBTQ. That's the general like understanding of what the community is called. In Canada, at least, it's LGBTQIP2S2AA. So do you guys want me to go through all of it? So L,
Yes.
obviously, lesbian. G, gay. Hi, I'm here. B, bisexual. Do you guys want me to explain what these are? I think everybody knows what they are.
They can Google it.
Yeah, T is transgendered. Q, the first Q is questioning. So it's really important to make a space for people who aren't quite sure on what their gender identity. It doesn't just cover. Okay, the one thing I want to say, questioning is not just about like experimenting with your sexuality. It's also not really knowing where your gender identity is. So it's like what you identify as, and that's different. People often confuse those two things as like sexual attraction and what your outward facing person is.
Yeah.
The other Q is queer, which is a pejorative term that we have sort of taken back and repurposed in the gay community and added as a place of pride. This is something that people who are not queer should not be saying. It's one of those terms where it's just kind of like a lukewarm term that we have reappropriated back. That used to be a derogatory term that we've now put power behind. So no one should be like, oh, he's a queer fellow, or like, oh, unless someone says, I identify as queer, and then you can use it. You can be like, they identify as queer. But don't be like, they're a queer fellow. He's part of the queer community. He's a queer guy. No, sit down. No. Unless I tell you what it is, I identify as it, don't use it. I, intersex, so that's individuals born with genitalia anatomy or chromosomes that do not match society's strict definition of male or female. This was intersex with somebody before who was known as a hermaphrodite. We don't use that term anymore. It's intersex. P for pansexual, which is someone who believes gender is irrelevant in matters of sexual attraction, so they're attracted to the person. And then 2S. This is something that is unique to, at least Canada puts it into their acronym. I know there's a certain part in the States as well who has 2S in certain states. We're a little bit more universally spread out in Canada. The states are a lot more, it's like state-led. It's like a school system. It's all different. So Two-Spirit refers to another gender role believed to be common amongst most, if not all, first people of Turtle Island. Turtle Island is North America we know today. One that had a proper and accepted place within Native societies. This acceptance was rooted in the spiritual teachings that say all life is sacred. It was proposed, voted on, and affirmed in the 1990 at the Native American Gay and Lesbian Gathering in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Thank you, Canada, for hosting that in 1990. Also, shout out to my sister who was born that year. This umbrella term was created to be legible across Native and non-Native cultures to reflect all the different sexual and gender identities across Indigenous culture. Two-Spirit people were held in high regard in these cultures, often being given high positions within the tribes. It's also really important to note that many initial writings about two-spirited people happened after European contact, and their depictions are considered pejorative by many Indigenous people. European colonizers imposed homophobia, rigid binary gender roles, and misogyny under the guise of civilizing Indigenous people with Christian teachings, once again robbing not only people of their land, but also their spiritual traditions. Now, the next thing I'm saying to you is super important. This term is not for non-Native LGBTQ people to express themselves under. Sorry, Moby, not for you. It's just for people who are Indigenous to use the Two-Spirit term. It is not for me. It's not for you, Wally, unless you are Indigenous. It is for Indigenous people only. A, asexual. Someone who experiences little to no sexual attraction, and that is different from love. Just because they don't want to have sex does not mean they don't love people or have very full lives and romantic lives. And the last one, the last A, is for ally. A person who supports the LGBTQ community and acknowledges their own privileges and actively works to interrupt injustice. We put a space there. We wanted to make sure everybody is included in our community. as long as they're fighting for the same cause. And I think that's something that's really beautiful about our community. And that's not to say that we don't, in our community, have our own problems. There is racism, there is sexism, there is misogyny, there is poisonous influences. We're not perfect. Like any other community, we have our problems. And unfortunately, we have to address it as well. And I think that Wally can probably speak to this better than I can. When you're going through a dating app or, for example, Grindr hookup app, and people have on it no blacks, no femmes, no Asians, no fats, no, and they call it they call it sexual preference. No, it's racism. It's disgusting, and it should be eradicated from our community, because just by saying something like, I'll use no Asians, for example, and my friend puts eloquently, he said, do you know every Asian in the world? Can you speak to every single person that you ever met? So by writing off an entire ethnicity of people or race of people, you're just saying that you're just racist. Yeah. It's not a sexual preference. If you're saying, I'm not attracted to that person and that person happens to be Asian, fine. But you're saying the entire billion people who identify as Asian in this country, whether it be half Asian or full Asian or quarter Asian, all of these different, or a tenth Asian, you're saying that all of these people are no for you. That's disgusting. It's not a sexual preference. You're a racist, sir.
Yeah. Which, like, I've, like, at one point I was talking to this guy, and he, like, we were talking on, and we were sending like selfies and whatever on Snapchat. I was like younger too at the time. And then I sent him a selfie with like not as good lighting or whatever. I was like, oh, you're darker than I thought. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I thought you were like a lot lighter. I'm not interested anymore. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't know what to say to this. Like, that's like crazy to me. Like, it's just so, yeah. So I definitely have gotten that before. And also, like, most people will assume that I'm like European or Greek or whatever, just because I'm not quote unquote darker than like they would assume that I would be. Because I'm from Afghanistan originally, and people are like, you're Afghan? I thought you were Greek or Italian. And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, I speak English pretty well. And so why does anything matter if if you were attracted to me before before you realized I was Afghan, now you're not attracted to me? Like, that makes no sense. It's just crazy.
I'm really sorry that you have to deal with that. That's disgusting. I also think too, and I'm going to say this, it's my personal opinion, it's not the opinion of anybody else. I honestly think the North American community of LGBTQ is uniquely selfish, and they think we've won. We are very uniquely focused on North America and our own rights, and we tend to forget that there's entire other part of our community in other parts of the world who don't have the ability to love who they want to love, or be openly gay, or come out without persecution. And that still happens in North America. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but there's one thing in other countries. It's prevalent, yeah, in other countries. It's there's a risk of like a fear of death or imprisonment. For example, Kenya has a 14-year prison sentence for anybody caught doing homosexual acts. China, for example, is like, they have protections for LGBTQ plus people, but there's bans against them banding together in organizations. Even in the States, for example, and this is North America, but in the States, like, yes, we had a great movement, like great advancement in the movement of like in a workforce, that people cannot be fired on the basis of their sexual orientation in the workforce. But that is just the workforce. It doesn't, there's no protections in everyday life, in housing, in adoption rights, in healthcare, in every day. So yeah, you can be fired for it, but you can be turned away from a hospital. You can be turned away from an adoption agency. You can you can lose out on housing. So it's like, it's these things that we have to think about, and it's a lot more prevalent in other parts of the world. Like, I think in Russia, for example, it's like you could be killed in Ukraine. There's camps for gay men to be taken from their homes and in work camps. So like, we're not done.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think Yeah, there's true equality in everybody being equal. Everybody part of the community, no matter where you go in the world, that's equality. Um,
I think
and
that's a
that's
huge
something that
misconception too, with like people that either aren't gay or black or whatever will think that just because we're trying to say we deserve rights, that they think that we want more rights than them, and that's not the case. We just want to all be equal. Same with like feminism and whatever. Like people think that the term feminism, it just means that women are higher than men, and that's not what it means. It's like they want everyone to be equal. Yeah, it's just, and like to your point, like I with other parts of the world, like I, as far as I know, at least I haven't been back to where I was born and grew up in a really long time since I've left. But like I still think that like anyone who's in the LGBT community gets ostracized and not treated equally. And I'm technically not out to my parents, so that's a huge thing as well. With because I don't think they would react well at all. So, and people are always like, and this is another thing that bothers me so much. And people are like, they probably already know, like it's fine. I'm like, you don't know how my parents react to anything. You don't know how I act around my parents, because I don't act the same way around them. I'm a lot quieter. I'm not as gay. So it's just like, you don't know what my life has been at home. So don't assume that because I'm quote unquote comfortable right now that I'm always the same way. So yeah, it bothers me so much when people say things like that.
Well, it's generalization, especially considering that I think most people saying those things don't understand for any same-sex sexual activity in Afghanistan, it's a penalty of execution. There is no rights for LGBTQ people in Afghanistan at all.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very homophobic state. So that's a really great thing that they decided to like pipe up with their opinion, but like pipe down, sir, no one asked.
Yeah, like, and what's crazy to me, there was this huge thing that I'm sure it's still going on, but it was called Bachabazi, which literally translates to playing with boys. And it was like most of the things were Taliban, people part of the Taliban, but there was other like older older Afghan men that would do it too. Like they would buy little kids off of families that knew that were poor, just so that they could basically keep them as like a slave, make them dress in women's clothing, and treat them as like a servant, and like making them, do all the housework and whatever, dance for them, and then also use them as sex slaves. And it's like, how are you letting that happen? But it's not okay to actually be in love with someone just because that's what you are. Yeah, that like whole thing, it bothers me so much. And like I did a short film once where my character had gone through that, and that's the only way that how I found out about it, because it's like been brushed under a rug, and I didn't even know that existed until I did that short film. And I was like, that was like really like emotional for me to do that, because the whole film too, like it's like 5 minutes long, but I didn't speak English in the film at all, and I was like, this puts me in a really weird place. And I was like in the short film being waterboarded and everything. I was like this is crazy to like imagine that this could have happened to me if I had grown up there and someone found out that I was gay or whatever.
Yeah. And I think it's a privilege that we're able to turn that off here. So there was a story about gay men being thrown off roofs and set on fire in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, by members of the Taliban. And it's really interesting to speak about gay rights and people to largely ignore that. They're able to kind of just be like, it's fine because it doesn't affect us. And I think that when people talk about community, you talk about a global community, a global citizen. You have to make sure that it's not just a North American problem. We're just holding your hands, being like, we've won, we're done, we can go party in a pandemic on Fire Island, like we're great. But you're like realizing that is a privilege that you can go and do that. That you can put a global pandemic to the side to make sure you can get your Dickwat at Fire Island, and your people are dying. Like, if Kourtney Kardashian said anything correct in her life, it was when she was like, Kim, there are people dying
in Africa,
and like that's so true. And I think it's like it plays in my head whenever someone is like, making a mountain out of a molehill. I'm like, people are dying. But it's like it's something that I think people need to be better educated on. It's not something that we tend to talk about in the North American LGBTQ plus community. We don't. We talk about ourselves, and it's like, unfortunately, it's something that needs a lot more. It needs a lot more backing to it. We have benefited from people fighting tooth and nail, and there is still much more to do. But people get lazy because right now, like, Pride is a party. Pride is a corporatized party that people can go out and celebrate and walk in the Pride parade, and corporations back it because it's beneficial to them. It creates money. But let's look at Church Street just in Toronto. It's dying. Like, gay-owned businesses are disappearing faster than a new condo goes up. So gays and lesbians are like, the entire community wants a safe space, but our money's not going into that safe space. We're not keeping it alive. We're not making sure the archives, the gay and lesbian archives, are staying open. We're not hoping that the Glad Day Bookshop is staying open, the oldest gay run bookshop in North America. We're not doing anything. We're watching and being like, oh no, boo-hoo, poor us. But we're not educating people. We don't have gay rights taught in school. We don't have gay history taught in school. So, like, it's up to people in the community to educate other people, and we're not doing it. We're accepting, like, we're going to a party and that's it. And we're like, yay, Pride, we're so much fun, pool party, white party, drug party, orgy, like, street party, all these things, and we're not actually doing anything outside of that. And the last part I'm going to say is basically that if ways you can get involved and be listening is the archives, which is Canada's LGBTQ2+ archive. You can donate to the Rainbow Road, and the 519 is the States for Change. You can find that on Church Street. And also the Toronto Peace Life chapter is another great place, which helps families of gays and lesbians. It has a lot of good resources for parents who have teens or any child of a teenage years, young kid, and or older. You can find resources and other parents who can help you through that process of accepting them. And also, I could talk this all night, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like
oh my God,
it's like 5 in the morning, and you're like, I want to go to sleep, Stuart. Shut the fuck up. I'm like, guys, I have more. Anyway, I'm done. I swear.
No, this is awesome. I mean, thank you for coming on our show and talking about everything and educating us. I didn't know like everything about. I didn't know anything about Canada's Pride history and all that. So, thank you.
Have me again, guys. We can talk about something else. Reality TV, Real Housewives of New York City. I am stacked.
Well, to that point, I was gonna say we wanted to do one of our segments on the show. We want to end every episode with kind of is Marry, Fuck, Kill.
Okay.
So, if you want to read him our options for today.
All right, you're getting a good one.
And we'll answer too, so you don't feel left out.
Great.
Okay. So it's typical, but it's good.
Fine.
So you're getting the Chris's.
Okay.
Chris Pratt. Hemsworth. And Evans.
Oh my God. Okay.
This is hard because they're all good choices.
And they're all in the Avengers.
Yeah, exactly.
Superhero edition.
Okay. So I would fuck Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
But I feel like he could do a good job. I would kill Chris Pratt because he left Anna Faris, and I'm just not about that life. Anna Faris. And I would marry the fuck out of Chris Evans. Also, have you seen his gay brother? I'm sorry, sir.
He has a gay brother?
Whose nudes leaked a couple of years ago, and let me tell you, my Google was aflame with that. Yeah, I would marry the shit out of Chris Evans. Guys, I would marry the shit out of him. I would be like, it's an open season. Before our wedding, it's not cheating. But also, I'd be really creeped out if he was like, I join. I'd be like, no, ew. It would be like a room situation where I'd have to like let one in and then like the other one in. Yeah, Chris Evans. I'd marry Chris Evans. I'd kill Chris Pratt, and I would fuck the shit out of Chris Hemsworth.
What about you, Mel?
Okay. I don't swear, so I'm not going to say.
You don't swear. It's amazing you don't. I'm like a sailor.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just never did. And then I feel awkward about doing it.
Oh my God.
Unless it's in a show.
Yeah, live your
in
best
a
life.
show,
Who
I
cares?
have no idea.
Don't feel pressure to swear.
So completely agree with you, Chris Hemsworth, all the way. And I would have so much fun with that. But I would marry Chris Pratt.
Really? All right.
Wait, so you would kill Hemsworth or kill Evans?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have to kill Evans.
I'm going to have to rethink our friendship.
Well, like, I feel like I would get along the best with Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I can see
like
that.
Knowing my personality and just like what I've seen of him,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would get along really well with him. I'd have fun.
Yeah,
I'd have fun with that. Stuart looks like he's dying over there. He's
probably looking at pictures of Chris Evans' brother.
I was gonna share a picture of Chris Evans so we could all just readjust, but we disabled screen share, which is smart on your part.
I didn't disable it. I think it's just because it's recording.
You can take it out as a screen share and just make the annotate screen share for others.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
You can share whatever you want.
Are you serious? We're not gonna look at him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no.
No,
No.
Where's his brother?
Oh, we're gonna do this? Okay, well, here we are.
See, he's just.
Oh my God.
Oh, there's.
Oh my God.
Brother.
Everywhere. There are
Wow.
This
everywhere.
is
His
real.
Okay, if
Wow.
the thing was like with his brother, I would pick his brother.
Is it just because of his penis?
No, I like
his brother.
Face. I like his face more.
I think that I would have sex with Chris Evans. I would marry Chris Hemsworth, and I would kill Chris Pratt. Just because Chris Hemsworth, obviously, is a very attractive man. He also has a very attractive brother, and he's Australian, and I have a giant thing for accents.
Yeah.
So he could literally tell me that I'm a piece of crap and I should die, and I'd just be horny as hell.
You could hit me with a Thor hammer. I'd be like, do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but
you're talking about his penis, right?
Oh yeah, no. Well, both actually. I just I don't understand Melissa not caring about accents. Like every accent that I hear, which is an attractive accent, I'm like, yeah. Melissa's like, I don't care. Like there was a guy.
No, she doesn't.
I don't.
There was a guy at Licks who was like this beautiful Australian accent, and I was like obsessed with him when I was living with Grandma. I was living at Grandma's house, and I was like, Melissa, he's so attractive, and she was like, he's ugly, and I was like, have you heard his silk voice?
Yeah.
I'm like lost in it right now. Like
think about accents that can take like someone who's like a 4 and make them a 7.
No.
Oh my God.
No.
I mean, there's it's that one thing though. Like I just looked up this on my work computer. I just realized that. Delete that history. Oh my God.
To yourself.
Realized I was not on my own computer. Clear browsing data. There we go, and it's gone. Whew, that would have been bad.
Okay, I have this whole thing recorded. I'll send it to your bosses.
Seriously. Jesus.
Oh gosh.
Thank God I got a new computer, so they can't. I have to set the new computer up tomorrow, so I'll just be like, the other computer was lost. I don't know where it went. The metadata? I don't know what that is. I'm stupid. Look at me.
What are cookies?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, this has been so much fun. I had so much fun tonight.
Same.
Yeah. I am so sorry I talk too much.
Oh my God,
it's been a while.
No.
We should definitely just do another episode where we just talk about whatever.
Yes.
We can talk about men the whole time.
We could. I would love that. I'm into it. I'm totally into it.
Like, you guys both of you always have a whole bunch of penises on your phone.
Oh, girl.
I have put them because people now enjoy going through my phone. I've put them all in a secret folder, so nobody can get to them without the password.
No, I'm very careful about who touches my phone.
Like, both of you like share the penises with me.
I don't send them to you. I show them to you in person.
Well, yeah, that's what we did. We like spent an entire like night drinking on the roof, and he was just like, penises.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I was like, these are all the ones that sent me. And let me tell you one thing about me. I do not send nudes. I have never sent nudes. I will never send a nude. I don't trust that shit. But if someone sends me an unsolicited dick pic, I'm going to keep it forever. And I'm going to show everybody.
I used to have a phone where I could screenshot without someone knowing that I'm screenshotting it, which was amazing on Spotify, on Snapchat. It was amazing.
But it's my dick playlist, guys.
They get on Spotify.
Yeah.
No, it was now I can't do that, but I have my old phone still, so sometimes I'll take a picture with my old phone.
Oh my God. I don't care if they send me a dick pic in some sort of app, I'm screen capping, and they're like, "Did you screen cap it?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I didn't ask for it." I have no interest. If you send me a dick pic, that I'm not gonna date you. I'm not gonna sleep with you. No person alive has been sent an unsolicited dick pic and it's been like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I have to leave my apartment right now in the middle of the night to have sex with this person.
Through this pandemic.
Because have you seen this?
Yeah.
No, it's not gonna happen. Like we live in a city. If I want to see your penis, I will just come over and see your penis.
Yeah.
It'd look better in person.
I'm just like, say hi to me first. That cannot be the first thing you send to someone. I just don't understand that mentality.
Don't send it at all.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Or like
it doesn't look good. Like I don't want it.
People will just assume that like, or when people send a dick pic and then sometimes I'll just be nice and say, like, hi, do you have a face as well? And they'll be like, no, I'm discreet. I'm like, so you'll send your dick all over the internet, but you won't send your face. I'm like, what do you think I'm sharing this to?
But like, I don't understand that when they're like, they send a dick pic and they're like, I'm discreet. You're still asking to meet you. I'm going to see your face.
Yes.
Like, are we meeting in a public bathroom where you've sawed a hole through a door? That's not going to be something that I'm doing, sir.
No, not at all.
Yeah, glory hole, like sweat. Anyway, I honestly, it is the one thing that turns me off like that. If you send me an unsolicited dick pic, I'm over it. I'm done. Thank you so much for coming. You need to be this high to like this tall to ride the ride, and you're not. You're still a baby. So goodbye.
Yeah.
Like, off you go.
Agreed.
Yeah. But also like Melissa knows, like I keep all of them. I'm like, and this is.
Yeah.
I will. The one thing I do though, if a boyfriend and I are sexting because I'm like on a vacation or a tour or something or like around the world, if I get a dick pic from them, like I'm not going to show anybody that thing, and I'm also going to delete after we break up. Like if I have it stored on my phone somewhere and I see it, it's going to be deleted. I'm not going to keep it and like save it forever. It's going to be gone.
No, I will literally keep every single dick pic, no matter who they are. You sent it to me, so it's there.
I mean, like, once I've dated that person, if they ever broken up, like, I don't need to see your dick anymore. I don't want to see you.
Right.
Anything attached to your body, I'm good. Like, please see yourself to the other side of the world. If you want to go to the sunken place, that's fine. I just never want to see you in my vicinity again.
I've never been in a relationship, so maybe once that happens, I'll feel differently. But so far, I have a screenshot of every single dick.
That makes sense. That's fine, though. Like, have it. Like,
I have never gotten sent a dick pic. I see
all of yours. Do you feel left out?
No, I don't actually want one, but I've never been sent one.
It's also really awkward too when you get it like at dinner or you're out with friends or at some party. And you're like,
just like a dick there.
I will literally just be like, oh, I just got a dick pic sent, and most of my friends are like, let me see.
Yeah, and you're like, oh yeah, it's right here. What's that? Or they're like, what's that mole?
Yeah.
Like,
is that cancerous? Should they get that checked?
I'm like, what's wrong with his balls? Like, I was sent one dick where I couldn't see. The dick was like this, and the balls were like literally potatoes. And I literally was like, this man has a tumor. Like, there's something going on. I was like, are you okay?
It was like a baby carrot in between two potatoes.
It was, the balls were so big. I was like, this is like something's wrong. Like, I don't care about the size of a penis.
send that. Oh, but that
Maybe-
does matter.
Maybe he
But
thought
like-
it was.
to care a little bit.
Like, I'm not going to call them out on it. Like, I wasn't talking with the dick size. I was talking with the size of anything that looks dwarfed next to those balls. They were massive and not low. They were big and they're
Right.
tight. And it's like,
You know what I hate as
Like,
well?
what are
When people
tumors?
send flaccid dick pics. I'm like, first of all, don't send me a dick pic I didn't ask for. Second of all, why do I want to see your soft dick?
oh, it was a comparison, like hard and soft. I'm like,
No, but they will
great, now I
only
can see
send,
when it's sad.
if it's only a soft dick and then they don't send anything after. I'm like, do you think this turns me on?
No.
Like,
I don't know. No. There's nothing pretty about seeing a dick. I don't know what it is. Like, all the men
Yeah.
out there listening right now, I'm sure you have swaths of men listening to this podcast. They weren't turned off by the massive gay talk we were talking about earlier. These like last 2.5 hours of just like straight gay content.
Or me talking about my period and like,
Or Melissa talking about her heavy flow.
Oh, why is that vagina?
And like, I just want to understand, like, any of the straight men who've lasted to this point, please don't send a dick pic.
clarify that.
Please. Please.
So please don't send a dick pic.
Don't send them. You know
Y'all
why?
can send them to me. I'm single and ready to do something
Ready
by
to
myself
mingle?
at home. No, I'm not ready to mingle. I
You
will,
can't mingle.
exactly. So send them to me. I'll use it for my own pleasure at home.
Meaning
Yeah,
that
if you guys-
he will show it to his roommate and laugh.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
if it's small or you're ugly.
The one thing I want everyone to understand is when you get a dick pic, when you send a dick pic, that dick pic is being shown to every single person at that table,
Yeah.
that friend group. The next time they're out, it's being sent in a group chat. It is no longer just that person. So
Mhm.
please don't send them. You might as well just post it onto your Instagram story.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah. Well,
Same.
I
Yeah.
will usually respect their privacy enough to like try not to show their face to people. But if you send me a pic
Yeah. I
with
wouldn't
your
care.
face and your penis, that's your own problem. And
Also,
then they'll-
men do this. What is this? Like this. They take a photo from like down here, where it's like double chin, and they're like, "Oh
I'm
yeah."
like, are you sure you're gay? Because you don't know your angles.
I know. It's like everyone takes a photo from up here. Like every gay man, it's like the camera's on the roof. Like they've hired a photographer for the
You look
weekend.
like a petite, tiny woman.
Yeah, it's like they've like face tuned this weird thing, so it's like everything's kind of it's like Britney Spears face tuning herself and like rippling cabinets in the background. Like if I have like
You see
a
her
dime for
video?
every single time that I have seen one of my friends have some sort of nude photo shoot that they have been like, I paid for it because I'm worth it. And it's always the same pose where it's like them like this looking over their shoulder on the I'm like, okay. Or it's like on Grindr, you have those really professionally done nudes, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, are you Cindy Crawford? Are they in your house somewhere, like blown up over your mantle? Like, why do you have these? Are they just to send to guys to hook up with? Because sir, you don't look like that. No one looks like that.
Nope.
In real, like the only way to look like that is to suck in and sit there as someone just gives you performance oral sex on you, and they're like, I can't breathe. Please finish. Anyway, I'm over it. That's a whole tangent. I can go on. Next time we'll talk about dick pics.
More so than we already have.
Yeah, and also I also want to talk about the next time that I'm here, whomever that happens to be, if I'm invited back. I would love to talk about the what's the thing I'm looking for? Oh my god, not the manners. What I'm looking for here? Where it's like it's like manners, Emily Post, and we're going to do a mind map with you. We can cut this later because I sound like a complete moron right now.
Oh, I am not
think
cutting
of the
this.
word.
Perfect. This will be the episode. Just the
No,
ending.
it's
I won't
gone.
put anything else.
It's gone. I have no idea.
But
It's like when someone hooks up at. Sorry, it's like when someone hooks up at your house, and it's like the etiquette to a hookup. I would love that.
Yes.
I will discuss that with people because, yeah, and I'm not going to talk about it because I went through, Melissa already heard my etiquette when we lived together, and I was like, what the hell? I'm talking like we lived in the apartment on Queen Street. That was an entire thing.
We will go in depth on that another day.
Oh my God. That one guy who asked for coffee, I'm not over it yet. That was 10 years ago, and I'm still mad. When he was like, do you think I could get a pot of tea and a piece of toast? I was like, am I a restaurant? The fuck?
Is he British?
He was. I was.
Doing that for fun.
No, I was like, if he was British, he could ask for whatever he wants, and I would give it to him.
No, get the hell out of my house. I literally said to you, I'm going to go into the shower, and when I come out of the bathroom, you're not going to be here anymore. And then I go in the shower, and he was standing in the galley kitchen being like, oh, let's spot a tea. And I picked toast. I was like, are you?
I would be like,
what
yes,
part?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I said all the words. Why are you still here?
Maybe he was in love with you. Oh gosh.
No one who's in love with me should do those things to me at night. So disgusting. I'm so sorry. My mother can't listen to this.
I cannot wait to have Vicky hear this.
Oh my god, she won't.
Yes, she will.
She'll hear like one thing and then she'll be like, I can't listen.
Yeah. Although I will say, my mother is like.
She's wonderful. I love her.
She's wonderful. I love them so much, but like she surprises me sometimes. The things that come out of her mouth, and I'm like, what? Also, she thinks my sister and I are the dirtiest, like foulest sense of humor. We have these like dirty, foul sense of humor. It's not. It's her, where she like puts innuendo on our jokes, and we're like, what? Ew! And she's like, you were thinking it. I was like, I can tell you, I was not, and you're disgusting. Like she will go to the like an nth part of it and be like, ew. She's like, ew, Stuart, and I'm like, how is that an ew? And she's like, you were thinking it, and I was like, I wasn't.
It really wasn't, Mom.
I have to get out of the car.
I'm gonna throw up.
Let me out of the car. All right, guys, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. I'll go on forever.
Oh, it's okay. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Yes.
This is a lot of fun.
I might break this into 2 parts because it was a lot of content. So thank you.
Hey, love you both. Kisses, hugs.
Kisses, smooches. Thank you.
Smooches. Wear your masks, people, and bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Mwah.
Mwah.